After escaping the wrath of the Cyclops, Odysseus and his battered crew sailed into uncertain waters. The roar of the blinded Polyphemus faded into the distance, but his curse echoed louder than any storm. Poseidon, god of the sea, and Polyphemus his father, had heard his son's cry, and from that moment on, the ocean would no longer be a path to Ithaca. It would be a maze of punishment. Still, Odysseus pressed forward. His men rowed tirelessly, their spirits rising with the thought of returning home. And then, as if in reward, they reached a shimmering island, surrounded by high cliffs that shone like bronze in the sun. This was Aeolia, home of the Aeolus, the keeper of the winds. Aeolus welcomed them warmly, entertained by Odysseus' tales of war and monsters. For a month they rested. Then, eager to resume their journey, Aeolus offered a parting gift, one that could have ended the Odyssey in days. He handed Odysseus a tightly sealed ox-hide bag containing every wind except the gentle west wind. With this, the voyage home would be swift and safe. For 9 days and nights, the sea was calm. Ithaca lay just on the horizon, so close they could see the smoke of home fires drifting on the breeze. But Odysseus, exhausted from his constant vigilance, allowed himself to rest. While he slept, suspicion crept in. The crew whispered. Why had their captain hidden the bag so carefully? What riches did it contain? Temptation overcame them, and they opened the bag. At once, the winds howled free, north, south, and east crashing together. The ship was thrown into chaos. Waves rose like mountains. The wind tore at the sails. When Odysseus awoke, it was too late. The fleet was cast far from home, and the island of Aeolia was once again on the horizon. Desperate, Odysseus returned to Aeolus, begging for help. But this time, the wind god turned him away. The gods clearly despise you, he said. To aid you would be to defy them. Shamed and rejected, Odysseus sailed once more into the unknown. Hunger gnawed at the men, spirits fell. They arrived at the land of the Laestrygonians, a people who looked human but were not. Towering giants with cannibal hearts. They docked in a narrow bay surrounded by high cliffs. Odysseus sent scouts inland. A young girl appeared to them, seemingly innocent, and led them to her father's palace. Inside, her father, Antiphates, greeted them with monstrous appetite. Without warning, he seized one of the men and tore him apart for his meal. The others fled, but the Laestrygonians descended from the cliffs, hurling massive boulders. Ships were smashed like toys, screams filled the air, blood stained the water. 11 ships were lost. Only Odysseus' vessel, anchored outside the harbour's reach, survived. What had once been a proud fleet was now a single ship, a few men, a haunted leader, and the dream of home fading fast. They sailed on in silence until the island of Aeolia appeared on the horizon, Circe's island. It was a strange, beautiful place. Wild animals roamed, but instead of attacking, they approached with calm, eerie eyes, as if they remembered being men. Odysseus sent a group to explore. They found a magnificent hall where a woman of golden hair and regal grace welcomed them. Her name was Circe. She offered a feast of meats, fruits, and fine wine. But the wine was laced with magic. As they drank, Circe raised her wand. With a chant, the men twisted and transformed. Their bodies shrank, bristles sprouted, and their hands became hooves. They had become swine, both in form and spirit. Only Eurylochus, wary from the start, escaped. He ran back to the ship and told Odysseus. Fueled by anger and loyalty, Odysseus set out alone. But as he neared Circe's palace, a figure appeared on the path. Hermes, god of travellers and trickery. The god gave him moly, a magical herb to protect against Circe's spell, and whispered advice. Let her strike first, then threaten her. Show strength, she will yield. Odysseus entered the hall. Circe welcomed him and offered wine. He drank. She struck with a wand, and nothing happened. Odysseus drew his sword and advanced. Circe fell to her knees, astonished. No man had ever resisted her. She surrendered, and with an oath to the gods, restored his crew to human form. More than that, she invited them to stay as honoured guests. For a year, they lived in comfort. Circe and Odysseus became lovers. The crew rested, healed, and feasted. But deep in Odysseus' heart, Ithaca still called. When he told Circe he must leave, she did not stop him. Instead, she offered guidance. Before returning home, he must journey to the land of the dead and seek the wisdom of Tiresias, the blind prophet. No living soul had crossed that threshold and returned, but Odysseus prepared for the journey. They sailed to the ends of the earth, to a place where day never reached. In the land of perpetual shadow, he dug a trench and poured libations of honey, wine, and the blood of a black ram. The souls of the dead rose from the earth, restless and whispering. He saw comrades from Troy, his mother, and those who had fallen to misfortune. Then Tiresias appeared. He spoke of hardships yet to come. Do not harm the cattle of the sun god Helios, he warned. If you do, your crew will perish, and you alone will return, broken and lost. He spoke of treachery at home, of suitors in Odysseus' hall, and of the trials yet to come, even after reaching Ithaca. With these words, the prophet vanished. Odysseus returned to the world of the living, but he was changed. He had seen death, and it had seen him. Be sure to join us for the next part in the tale: deadly sirens, impossible choices, and the wrath of Zeus. More than a voyage, this journey had become a test of the soul.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more great stories. Cheers.